contradict the fundamental laws and rights that we are supposed to all agree to. And therefore, we must navigate a way. We have to find a way through this. We have to stand stronger, closer together. We have to find new partners in the world who actually respect human life and dignity, and whose attitudes are not, I am superior than you and you have to do as I say or else. So, I didn't go on to listen to many of the other presentations. Maybe I am amiss of an opportunity to hear some other good leaders in the Caribbean. But of course, many of us look forward to this contributions, and she seldom disappoints. She's an excellent orator, of course, as we have produced in the Caribbean continuously. Yes, we produce some bullies, right? Yes, we produce some people who are not inclined towards goodness, advantageous individuals. But we have produced, people who speak truth into the world fearlessly, aware, right? They are aware of how the world works, but still display a level of bravery that is necessary for us to stay on the right side of God, even God, right? To stay on the side of what is truth and what is right. So I just thought I would mention it. I have it on the screen this morning, but I wouldn't play it. That's just an excerpt of part of her speech. It is available on YouTube. Encourage your children as well in their content, especially if they are a bit older and able to understand and take it in. Encourage them to view some of that type of content as well. Of course, we looked at some press conferences yesterday as well. The topics that are pressing in the news this morning. And as I open the Daily Express, we see the first headline: Munilal orders probe into billion-dollar error. And what that concerns is that there's a billion-dollar error that was realized in a energy contract, and it has been fixed now. But of course, it would have been approved before by Mr. Stuart Young as Minister of Energy, and they are highlighting the glaring mistake. It's not just part of politics. To be fair, if there was such a big mistake as is being produced for the public to see, then we have to be made aware of it, and it is being probed, so we'll have a better understanding of the mistake that was made. If it was genuine, it would have cost us $6.7 billion in revenue, and therefore, fortunately, it has been corrected, and we are able to move forward with that deal. I think Woodside Energy and BP are the two multinational companies that are involved. right? We go along in the news. I mean, I don't even need to read it to know that there's also the decision of cabinet to take out the demerit points from the majority of situations and fines in Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, that was promised on the campaign trail, right? It's something that I was adamant about and spoke about continuously because of its effect, because it is not really serving the purpose that it is supposed to serve, because it is punitive, and it has been removed, right? Steps are being made. I don't know if that one made the news, at least made the Express headlines, because I'm going through and I haven't actually seen it. But yesterday at Post Cabinet, we would have seen Minister Eli, who, you know, I jokingly say is probably one of the most fortunate ministers, because he's just a bit, you know, quiet. You know, there's some people who are outgoing, whose personalities attract others in terms of you reach out to them for assistance, guidance, information, representation. Of course, he came through the Senate as well, a professional. But, you know, he's just, and it may not be that his personality is not warm or whatever, but every time I see him, even in public spaces, he is fortunate. People do not harass him, if that's the word. That's not the right word. He's just fortunate in that way. All right. So he would have come and present us yesterday that, except for the really, really detrimental charges and detrimental issues, these demerit points have been removed. So I think only for driving under the influence, for reckless driving, and one other category of offenses or offense, that demerit process has been removed. You know, thank God, because it really was not functioning properly. It really was punitive, and it put so many drivers into a very difficult position. A very, very difficult position. There is no there's no guessing why Trinbagonians enjoy private transport and motor vehicles, etc. We live in hot sun and rain. Right? That is our climate. And as we have seen over the last few days, we have been blessed by tremendous rainfall, right? Fresh water falling from the sky. Things that people would beg for. More rainfall than some people see for the entire year. In some countries, in 4, 5, 6 days. We are blessed, thank God, right? So we go along in the news as well. They got kind of a headline here. Indecent George. Attorney Syra Lacan yesterday criticized lawyer Martin George, who was this week charged with 2 sexual offenses, as being insensitive and engaging in cheap publicity by announcing his wedding at a news conference rather than showing respect for the seriousness of the court matter. George is out on $150,000 bail after being charged with grievous sexual assault and indecent assault against a colleague while at his Port of Spain Law Chamber on March the 22nd. Right? Of course, everybody, I know he's a prominent lawyer, so to speak, but everybody has that presumption of innocence until they are proven guilty, right? And he has availed himself of the opportunity to be on bond, so he has gotten bail, and he will go through whatever court process to determine his guilt or his innocence. But I looked on as well on social media at Mr. George and this press conference, so to speak. And boy, Trinidad, let me use the term that we often use as well. Trinidad is not a real place, so I found it a bit comedic. I found it a bit funny. I mean, you're under some pressure there, you know. You have that little challenge of facing the courts, and you choose to, you know, in this press conference and announce our wedding. I don't want to get into the bacchanal too much. I know Trinidadians, Trinbagonians, we love bacchanal. I start to wonder if the sexual assault offenses, the alleged offenses are against a male or a female, because it looked like a kind of I don't want to comment too much, you know. I really respect people's you know, the presumption of innocence. I had to say that because I myself, we never know when we find ourselves in trouble, right? Quote unquote trouble. And people allege all kind of things sometimes against you, right? There are misunderstandings or whatever that take place. There are vindictive people as well in this world. Extremely vindictive people. Right here in Trinidad and Tobago. So, you know, I don't want to but I in line Trinidad and Tobago, oh boy. That press conference was interesting. It was very, very interesting. And I don't know the thinking of it. What I can say is, you know, it's a really intelligent move to hire Miss Pamela Elder, SC, right? Good morning, Miss Elder, right? Somebody I really recognize as well. Good morning, Mr. Elder as well, who is the proprietor and has led Elders Educational Institute, which I attended for a very short period of time as well. Love and respect to that family and their contribution to Trinidad and Tobago in the field of education. Miss Ella also taught me as well law for a short period of time. Blessed good morning to her. So, you know, that the press conference and the wedding and, you know, the subsequent short interview with his fiancée was laughable in my estimation of things. Was interesting. I know the press who were there, right? They were, whew, you could hear it in the questions that were posed as well. But so to counteract, okay, that wasn't, but at least he's hired the best that money could afford, right? You know, Miss Pamela Elder. I say Miss Pamela Elder because school days, right? But tremendous attorney. We might remember her from the past police commissioner's little issue, short issue as well. Tremendous attorney. And, you know, these things really speak to our society and the disparity as well. If you have money, you are really able to avail yourself to hire the best legal help possible. And sometimes, alright, let me don't say that. Sometimes good legal help helps, right? And that in itself, you know, justice is something that should really be afforded to everyone. You hear the word used there, right? Afforded. And unfortunately, when you can't afford, it becomes challenging. And yes, there are a couple mechanisms in place for legal aid and stuff as well. But obviously, chalk and cheese, right? That definitely cannot compare. And you're not going to find lawyers of that caliber who have the ability to put forward your side of an issue, to present, to do the investigative and other work that is necessary. And all it is watch some movies sometimes, right? You're not going to find that caliber of lawyer present in the legal aid systems. So it's tough. As we go through the news a little further as well, we're seeing really difficult trends in terms of crime, and in particular murder. And there is a lot still to be desired and a lot of work still to do. So this troubling incident of a 35-year-old young man, 35-year-old man who went missing after going to buy a car, and sadly he was found dead. Something has to be done, and I hope that the police can really dig down and hold whoever is responsible, because people have to be held responsible, and the detection rate is critical in really